Welcome to Sada Learning Hub. You are with me, Shada Sharao. Today's session, we are going to discuss about top 10 exceptions in Java programming language. Exceptions are divided into two types. They are JVM exceptions and programmatic exceptions. Now I am going to discuss about JVM exceptions. The exception which are raised automatically by the JVM whenever a particular event occurs. For example, array out of bounds exception and null pointer exception. These are the JVM exceptions. Next, programmatic exceptions. The exceptions which are raised explicitly by the programmer or by the API developer are called the programmatic exceptions. Illegal argument exception, array index out of bounds exception. For example, illegal argument exception is the programmatic exception. Now I'm going to discuss about some exceptions with the examples. Array index out of bounds exception. First one, array index out of bounds exception. It is the child class of runtime exception and hence it is unchecked. Raised automatically by the JVM whenever we are trying to access array elements without of range index. Array index out of bounds exception. It is a child class of runtime exception and hence it is unchecked. It raised automatically by the JVM whenever we are trying to access array elements without of range index. I can show example for the array index out of bounds exception. See, this is an example for array out of bounds exception. I am creating a class test. I am creating an array. This is an array with size 10 elements. Now I am accessing the 0th element. It is a valid. Now here I am accessing the 100th element. Now here x of 100. Now it gives the array out of bounds exception. Why? Because x array size is 10, but we are accessing the 100th element. That's why it gives array out of bounds exception. Next, this statement, we are accessing the negative value. Negative, there is no negative value for the array size. That's why it is also gives the array out of bounds exception. Here, these two argues array out of bounds exception. Array elements without range of index. In that time, it gives the array out of bounds exception. Next exception is null pointer exception. It is the child class of runtime exception and hence it is unchecked. Raised automatically by the JVM. Whenever we are trying to call any method on null, then only it gives the null pointer exception. See this example here. I am creating a one class. That class name is called test. String s is equal to null. I am creating a variable string into I am assigning the value null. Now I am called the s dot length. What it s contains? Null dot length. Then it gives the null pointer exception. Next, stack overflow exception. It is the child class of error and hence it is unchecked. Whenever we are trying to invoke recursive method call, JVM will raise stack overflow error automatically. Stack overflow error. It is the child class of error and hence it is unchecked. Whenever we are trying to invoke recursive method calls, JVM will raise stack overflow error automatically. See this example. I am creating a class called test. Here I am calling the method, I am creating a method 1. This is the method 2. This is the public static void main. In public static void main, I am calling the method 1. It cursor will come into this method. Here I am calling a method 2. Method 2, this is the method 2. In this method 2, I am calling again method 1. Method 1 calling to method 2. Method 2 calling method 1. It is going to recursively. So after some time, it gives the stack overflow error. Next exception is no class definition found. It is the child class of error and hence it is an unchecked. JVM will raise this error automatically whenever it is unable to find required .class files. It is the child class of an error and hence it is unchecked. JVM will raise the error automatically whenever it is unable to find the .class files. For example, Java test. If test.class is not available, then we will get no class definition found error. Next, I'm going to discuss is ClassCastException. It is the child class of runtime exception and hence it is unchecked, raised automatically by the JVM. Whenever we are trying to typecast parent object to the child type. So when class cast exception is raised, we are trying to typecast the parent object to child object. See this example here. I'm creating one example for that. I can show you one example here. See class test. I'm creating a public static void main here. String s is equal to new string of Sada Learning Hub. Next, object O is equal to object of S. This is the typecasting. It gives the it doesn't gives any error. It gives the doesn't gives any error. Why? Because object is the superclass of all classes. That's why it is the valid one. Now I can show you one more example. I'm creating a class test. I'm creating an object. New object. Now I'm trying to typecast the to string. Now it gives the class cast exception. Why? Because we are trying to typecast the parent object to child type. This is the parent. Now we are trying to cache the child type. In that situation, we are getting the class cast exception. It gives the class cast exception. Next, I'm going to discuss is exception in initializer error. It is the child class of error and it is an unchecked, raised automatically by the JVM. If any exception occurs while performing the static variables initialization and static blocks execution. Exception initializer error. It is the child class of error and it is unchecked, raised automatically by the JVM. If any exception occurs while performing static variable initialization and static block execution. See this example here. Now static int I is equal to 10 by 0. Here I am creating a integer variable with the static modifier. I am initializing the value 10 by 0. It gives an error, exception initializer error. Why? Because 10 by 0 is an arithmetic exception. Next, I can show you one more example. I am creating a class test. This is the static block. In this static block, I am creating string s is equal to null. In that, I am creating a string variable and assigning the null value. In that null value, I am calling the length method. Then automatically it raises the exception in initializer error. Next exception I am going to discuss is illegal argument exception. It is the child class of our runtime exception and hence it is unchecked, raised explicitly by the programmer or by the API developer to indicate that a method has been invoked with inappropriate arguments. Illegal argument exception says it is the child class of runtime exception and it is an unchecked, raised explicitly by the programmer or by the API developer to indicates that a method has been invoked by the inappropriate arguments. I can show you one example here. See this example. I'm creating a class test. In this class, I'm creating a thread object. Thread is an class. I'm creating an object of thread. Now I am setting the priority of the thread is 10. It is the valid. I am setting the priority of thread 100. It is the invalid. Why? Because there is some constants for thread priorities. Setting the thread priorities. That's why it is the invalid. Next, I'm going to discuss is number format exception. It is the child class of illegal argument exception and hence it is unchecked, raised explicitly by the programmer or by the API developer to indicate that we are attempting to convert string to the number, but the string is not properly formatted. When number format exception raised is, it is a child class of illegal argument exception and hence it is unchecked, raised explicitly by the programmer or by the API developer to indicate that we are attempting to convert string to the number, but the string is not properly formatted. See this example here. I'm creating a class test. In this class, I am parsing integer.parseInt of 10. It parse successfully. Why? Because 10 is the number it parse successfully. Now I'm integer dot parseInt of 10. See here, it is the string. That's why here it gives the number format exception. Next, I'm going to discuss is legal state exception. It is the child class of runtime exception and hence it is unchecked, raised explicitly by the programmer or by the API developer to indicate that a method has been invoked at inappropriate time. When illegal statement exception raised, raise is to indicate that a method has been invoked at inappropriate times. For example, one session expires, we can't call any method on that session object. Otherwise, we will get the illegal state of exception. For example, I can show you one example here. I am creating a one session http session is equal to request dot get session. Now I am printing the session dot get id. Now it prints successfully. Why? Because the session is enabled. After that, I am invalidated session dot invalidate. After that, I am calling session dot get id. Now this time it gives illegal state of exception. Why? Because you are already invalidate the exception. After invalidate the exception, we are calling getID method. That's why it gives the exception, illegal state of exception. Next, I am going to discuss is assertion error. It is the child class of error and hence it is unchecked, raised explicitly by the programmer or by the developer to indicate that assert statement fails. Assertion error. It is the child class of error and hence it is unchecked, raised explicitly by the programmer or by the API developer to indicate that assert statement fails. For example, I can show you one example here. Assert of false. This is gives to the assertion error. Now I can tell you arithmetic exception and null pointer exception and stack overflow exception and no class definition found exception and class cast exception and exception in initializer error. These are all raised automatically by the JVM. Next, illegal state of exception and number format exception and illegal argument exception and assertion error. These are raised explicitly either by the programmer or by the API developer.
Thank you so much watching this video. Hope this lesson helpful to you. Keep watching our lessons. Keep writing to us. Do not forget subscribe our channel Learning Hub because we have many sessions that would help you to develop our skills and I will be back soon. Till then you take care. Bye bye.